Welcome to Bunnyfish Crafts. I'm your host Heather, known as Bunnyfish on Ravelry, Instagram, and YouTube. Today is Monday, the 16th of March, 2015, and this is episode 120, Mend It March, Part 3. Grab some sticks and string and come sit with me. How was your week? Mine was pretty good. We had a crazy day of doctor's visits last week for Steve, but other than that, kind of uneventful. I have been so tired lately that I can't even actually remember what happened last week or if what I'm thinking happened earlier than that. But today, Steve has vacation this entire week, so I got to sleep in today, and that was lovely. And when I woke up right as Gabriel's bus was getting here, so super late. But Gabriel's bus got here and Steve took the kids away, so I took a bath this morning. Well, afternoon, but morning for me, because morning is the first 3 hours you're awake, right? So I took a bath this morning and that was amazing, because bath time either has to happen when Steve takes the kids away or late at night when the kids are sleeping. Otherwise, Morrow will try to climb in my bath with me. But anyway, they're out and they may interrupt because they've been gone for a while now. But here we are. Let's get to some knitting. The Steampunk Knit Along is going until the end of this month. There have been several entries this past week, so that's exciting. I see that the Age of Breast and Steam is the front runner for patterns, which is great. It's a really great pattern. I made it last year for the Ravelinic Games, and I did mine out of rainbow progressive yarn from 716 Knit. It's a really fast pattern. You would definitely, if you're not an extremely slow knitter, you would have time to make that pattern before the end of the knit along. But any pattern that you use, if you can justify it as steampunk, I will agree that it is steampunk. And that goes till March 31st. It could be something that you started before the beginning of the knit along. You could just finish up a work in progress, and that would be fine. I have a finished object that I cannot show you. It is a sample of a design that I will be releasing this coming weekend, so I will show you next week on the podcast. And that is where a decent chunk of my knitting time went, so that I could have it blocked and everything in pictures, final pictures, before the pattern goes live. So what do I have to show you? Okay, so work in progress. I did not finish the socks for my sister, but I am on the cuff, and I think the cuff is about half finished. That looks to be about 2 inches, right? Ish. It's supposed to be a 4-inch cuff, so I'm going away on it, and then I will work in earnest on the second one. I don't know if I'll finish the second one this month, but I'm going to really, really try, because I don't want these socks to go into a third month of working on. And the colors are pretty. The purple and the green. Love that. The yarn that I'm using for the heels, toes, and cuffs is Knit Picks Hand Paint Stroll Hand Paint in the colorway Make Believe. The purple stripes are BFL Fleece Artist BFL, no colorway name, and the green is Knit Picks Stroll Tonal in Canopy. I'm working that on US size 1, 2.25 millimeter needles. I worked on my Sarah sweater, which is a pattern by Laura Ayler, and I have a question for you guys. Okay, so this is what I have so far. From this marker down is how much I knit this week, and from this marker down, I need to knit 4 inches and then start the ribbing. Well, I'm still on the first 2 cakes of yarn, and I have a third skein of yarn. So what I'm wondering is, should I finish out these 4 inches on the bottom of the sweater and then do the ribbing around the bottom in the third skein of yarn? And the reason I would do that is because you pick up and do a shawl collar on the front of the sweater. So I would do the bottom ribbing and the shawl color in that third skein of yarn, and then I could go back and make these sleeves longer. Or do you think make these sleeves longer using these 2 skeins of yarn? Oh, I think my family just got home. And then I would do the cuffs in the third skein of yarn. Or should I just leave this short sleeved, use out these 2 skeins of yarn to finish up what I can and break into the third skein if I need it, but then have that third skein in reserve for something else? What do you think? My family came home, I had lunch with them, and they totally reminded me that I forgot to tell you something huge. So Gabriel didn't have a bike last summer because we just didn't get them bikes last summer. We kept meaning to, and then every time we would get ready to go, something would happen. You know how that goes, where things are supposed to happen and they just don't happen. So he didn't get a bike until the end of summer, but his bike had training wheels. We had taken the training wheels off of his old bike, and he decided he didn't like that, so he stopped riding it, which is why we didn't get them a new bike. That's the main reason. Anyway, so he got this new bike that was appropriately sized, but it still had training wheels. And we left the training wheels on because that was the weekend where where we ended up being in Children's Hospital for a few days that week. So we just left that on because I didn't want him to fall and hurt his face even worse than it already was by trying to learn how to ride a bike without training wheels. Well, this weekend he said, "Mom, can we take the training wheels off my bike now? I'm ready." And he's been riding his bike like a champ without his training wheels. I mean, I knew he would be fine as soon as we took them off. I was just waiting for him to be ready at this point. And other big news, Mara has actually started pedaling the wheels, the pedals on her bike. She has a bike with training wheels also, and she would pedal about 2 revolutions and then stop. And this weekend she just decided that now was the time to be able to actually bike. So that was really exciting. Anyway, I was talking about the Sarah sweater. I'm using US size 7 4.5 millimeter needles. This yarn that I'm using is 716 knit Kona worsted in a modified hamsters colorway. Oh, it's so pretty. I love it so much. It's so beautiful. So it's down past my hips, and I just need about 2 more inches of body and then 2 inches of ribbing approximately. We'll see. It might fudge with that. Who knows? But yeah, let me know what you think about that third skein of yarn, because I mean, I have a lot left in both of these skeins. I think I could probably finish out the sweater as written with just those 2 skeins. But should I modify it to be a long sleeve sweater? I have one long sleeve cardigan, which you can see over my shoulder right here, and a long sleeve pullover. And then I have 3 short sleeve sweaters. So that kind of makes it seem like I should make it on a long sleeve version. But I also wear my short sleeve sweaters in the wintertime just over long sleeve t-shirts, and then also use them in the summer. I don't know, I'm having a hard time deciding what I really want to do with this sweater, because I love the yarn, but I would love using it all up in the sweater, but I would also not mind if I used it in other smaller projects like accessories and stuff. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I can't say that I'll go with popular opinion, but I'd like to know what people think, because that helps me figure out what I actually think. Does that make sense? Does anyone else have that, where you're not sure what you think until you hear what other people think, and then you're like, yes, I actually agree with that, or no, I actually really disagree with that. Thank you for helping me make that decision. So out of Science Monkey Mercantile, I love that tag so much, in the Faraday Sock Jovian Princess colorway, I am working on the Carrib DS socks by Fiona Bennett. It's a monster in Greek mythology that spits out whirlpools of water or something. So this is what one sock looks like. They are mirrored, and they have these cool spirals going up the front. Oh, I'm shedding everywhere. I'm sorry if you're seeing hair hanging off all of my projects. It's because it's springtime and I shed like a dog during spring. So this is what it's looking like. I love it. I love this colorway. I love this yarn so much. I made pink and black knee-high socks out of it very early on. I think the first Christmas that I was podcasting, I made those socks. So out of the same base. I really like it. It's a very soft base. It is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, but it reminds me of, it's a 2-ply. So it's got that textury roundness to it, not the smooth roundness. Does that make sense? And it kind of reminds me of a, the twist reminds me of Madeline Tosh sock, but of course it has the nylon content, so that will hopefully make it better for wearing. I worked on my ASAP Scarf, which is by someone whose name I will put right here because I don't know how to pronounce the last name. Sorry. I have almost doubled the size of it this week, so stitch marker to the needle is how much I've done, and it is this long total. I think 3 more repeats and I would have doubled the length. But it is coming along very prettily, and I really, really like the way this color is working up. It's Regia lace in a color number. What is the color number? 077. Very pretty. Very pretty the way it's working up. I'm working this held with 3 strands of the lace together. The pattern's originally written for a fingering weight, and because I went up to a thicker weight with my lace yarn, I went up to US size 6 knitting needles, which is 4.0 millimeters. This is a good guy knit, right? Nobody commented last week, but Steve says it's a good guy knit. And I'm pretty sure that Josh said that he liked it too. Not that I can take what Josh says, because Josh will wear a lot more things than most kids that I know. But I think it's looking nice. I'm very distracted by how pretty that stitch marker is. This is one of my favorite stitch markers, and I got it in a swap. I wish that I was not too lazy to make my own stitch markers, because I know how to theoretically make a stitch marker like that, but I'm lazy. And then I look at the stitch marker and I'm like, yeah, but that one will always be special because it came from a swap. I don't know. Now I'm babbling. I also cast on, let me make sure I got all of my things. Yes. I also cast on a new project, but it's not fully cast on because I really, 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 really don't like casting on projects. I like having new projects started, and I like working on new projects, but the actual act of casting on, I do not like. So what I'm casting on is a new design. It is a hat design, which I will show on the podcast, and I will be looking for a test knitter if anyone wants to, well, more than one, hopefully. If anyone wants to test knit a hat, it'll be slouchy hat cables and textured stitches and stuff. And it'll use fingering weight, US size 1 and US size 3 needles. I'm making mine out of Sophie Toe's sock yarn. So that's the front of the business card, and here's the back, or back and front, whatever. Vintage Kitchen colorway. I won this from Wolf Farms 2 Christmases ago, maybe? A long time ago. But it's this lovely green, mostly with red and yellow speckles. So I've started casting on, but obviously this is not enough for a hat. I will continue casting on throughout the day, and I'll show you progress next week. I made Barn Raising Square number 14, and this one is, I made it knitting directly off of the swatch from Gabriel's sweater. That was the color block sweater that I made for him. And I went up to US size 6 needles because I held the 2 strands of fingering weight double. And I think it'll look nice in the blanket. Let me grab another square to show you. I don't think it'll look too strange in the blanket, especially because I plan to make other heavier weight squares to go throughout. Yeah, that looks fine, right? Yes, it's fine. I have a plethora of new things this week. First off is something I'm going to be starting sometime this week, a project. Steve from Dramatic Knits and Leading Men Fiber Arts contacted me to do some sample knitting for him. I did some last year, and I was like, yeah, of course. And what he wants me to sample knit for him is a pattern by Lisa Tomko. It's called Raison d'être, something like that. It's French, and I do not speak French. But I'm really excited because it is a really lovely pattern. It's got all sorts of things going on. You know, I love the things going on when I'm knitting socks. And the yarn that he sent me, so Leading Men Fiber Arts, is in the Spotlight base, which is 80% superwash BFL, 20% nylon in the My Maker colorway, which is a very reddy, pinky rose color. It's coming out a little more pink, I think, on screen than it is here. It's a little more red than that. So I will be casting those on very, very soon. Probably not today because I will finish casting on this hat. So maybe tomorrow. But I'm really excited for those socks because I have them pulled up on the screen next to my picture of myself on the screen, which is why I keep looking over here. They're really, really lovely. I'm excited to show you those. I also bought a pattern for myself, which is called the Burton Vestigan, which is a pattern by Modish Mom Knits. Josh and I were in a VKN, and he said, I saw this sweater and I thought of you today. And I saw the sweater and I was like, I love that so much. It's not really a sweater. It's a vest. It doesn't have sleeves, and it's knit out of Malabrigo chunky yarn, the sample is. So I don't have anything to make it with right now, but through the 18th, it is on sale for, I don't know, 15% off or something. I can't remember. I will link it. Even before I put this up, I'm going to put it in the enabling thread. I meant to do it this weekend, but you know, it's been really, really nice. So I've been spending a ton of time outside playing with my kids. Anyway, it is so, so cute. And if I remember, I will pull a picture off of Ravelry and put it here so that you can see it. I also received my Christmas present from Steve this week. So this has a long story. He ordered it from Canada and had it shipped to our old address, you know, where we haven't lived in a year and a half. Or, yeah, a year and a half, that's right. So it went back to Canada, and he contacted the seller, and the seller was like, oh, well, no problem. Let me just ship it out to your correct address. So that was kind of awesome, but it means that it didn't get here until now because he didn't pay attention to what he was doing when he was ordering. That autofill, sometimes it gets you, right? So this is from Fashion Touch Supplies, which is fashiontouchsupplies.etsy.com. And you can actually see it in person. My thing's just not going to focus for you. So what I have is 4 skeins of yarn. 3 of them are about 200 yards and 100% wool, so they're a worsted / Aran weight. None of them have tags, which is a little, but the packaging was super cute. So I love that. I just wish that these had individual tags, but I guess it won't matter because I have the information. I pulled it off of the Etsy site, so I can just put it into Ravelry, which is where all the information needs to go anyway, because I'm not always great about keeping tags once I ball things up. This is the Mums colorway. This one is spring summer colors, and this one is autumn. It's really lovely. I love this brownie color in here where they meet, where the orange and teal meet up. Love that. And then there is a skein of fingering weight acrylic, and this is called green. So they're really pretty, and it's interesting to now have a worsted Aran weight selection in my stash that was not bought specifically for a sweater. Because I do occasionally have a moment where I'm like, oh, I want to make something that requires worsted weight. That's fine. I can hold fingering weight doubled, but now I have actual yarn that's meant to do that. I have a moment of shame for mending this week. I only worked on one mending project, and I didn't even finish the entire mending project. Finished half of it, so I kind of have a mending hoe. This was a sweater sleeve from the sweater that I knit my sister that she then put in the washing machine and dryer. So what I did was I cut off the sleeves, and that meant that I had this edge that needed to be finished. So I just did 3 ridges of garter stitch. The bottom had 5 ridges, I think, of garter stitch. I could count it, but I'm not going to. And then bound off to turn the sweater sleeve from just a tube that wasn't doing anything into this super lovely leg warmer that I probably won't wear until fall because spring is here. I don't know if that means that we're not going to get winter again because we usually do for a week or something. So maybe I'll be able to wear these if I finish the other one because like I said, I only did the one. This is the only mending that I picked up this week. But you know, it tends to be either feast or famine with me. Last week I did so much mending, and this week just a little mending. Whatever. I will finish my mending by the end of the month. It's a very small stack sitting right next to me. So right here next to me on my desk, it's a very small stack. I can totally get it done in the next 2 weeks. Not overly worried about it. So I guess all that I have left to talk to you about is what I'm reading. I'm almost finished Gone with the Wind. I only have this much left, and now that I'm almost finished, I'm actually really, really enjoying the story, and I'm kind of going to be sad when it's over. So hopefully the ending does not disappoint. I'll let you know next week. I started reading City of Fallen Angels by Cassandra Clare. Is that right? It's the 4th book in the Mortal Instruments series, and I started reading it 3 weeks ago. I went to the library. I pulled 5 or so books off of the shelf, and that was one of them. So I started reading it, and then I went to renew it yesterday because I had to renew my books, and I had taken back the ones that I had finished, but I had to renew the ones that I hadn't yet, and I couldn't renew that one. I was like, well, that's strange because you can usually renew up to 3 times. And I had pulled it off of the shelf. It's not like it was a book I had on hold. So I went to the library website, and not only were all 3 copies checked out of the library, one of them being the one that I had checked out, but I went to place it on a hold, and there were 2 people in line ahead of me to read the book. Isn't that crazy? Like, I pulled it off of the shelf. Why is it so popular now? Especially because it's the 4th book in a series. If it was the 1st book in a series, I could be like, oh, well, that makes sense. But the 4th book? I don't know. It's crazy. Hey, babe.
Look.
I'm almost finished. You can tell me all about it in a minute, okay?
Okay.
And then I started a 3rd book, which I have to read right now because I put it on hold when it came in, and it's a new book, so people want it, and I only have 3 weeks to read it. Not right now. Not right now, Mar, because I'm recording. So this is Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel, and I believe that I heard about it on the Traveling Sock Knitter podcast, but maybe not. It's a post-apocalyptic thing, but not young adult. Still dystopian stuff going on, but it's an adult novel, so branching out but still staying in. Last week I was talking about how I needed to read a grown-up book, so now I'm reading a grown-up book, and I am really enjoying it. Actually, I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. I'm 70-ish pages in, and the story is interesting, but I'm in it, but I'm not committed. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't love the story yet, but we're dating right now. Does that make sense? That's what's going on. Anything else that I had to tell you, I cannot tell you now because I'm just too distracted by my awesome, adorable, very distracting children. So, I hope you made something fantastic with your sticks and string, and I will see you. Stop! You stop! I will see you next week. Bye!